What's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new episode. I'm your host, Disco, and today I'm actually going to say the day. This video is being recorded before time, just to make sure. Test 1 2. There you go. Everything's working. Today is June 27th, 2023. That idea is from Let's Talk Elections. Thank you. I got the idea from you. But this will be released later time in the future. Now, this is a we're going to talk about gerrymandering. Now, gerrymandering is the process of redrawing congressional districts every 10 years to have an equal population and give voters a chance to elect representatives that favor their interests. Now, this is the current makeup of the House of Representatives back in 2022. Now, Republicans won the slightest majority, the smallest majority in one of the in House history. Now, how did they do that? They won a lot of their seats were won by gerrymandering. Places like they gerrymandered. They'll do this in purple. They've gerrymandered Texas. They gerrymandered Florida. They gerrymandered the South, with the exception of North Carolina. They were able to win Democrats were able to win a lawsuit. Now, with that, Democrats were also able to play into their own standards. New Mexico was gerrymandered. Nevada was gerrymandered. New York was gerrymandered, but then Republicans overturned that. And then Illinois is gerrymandered. Basically, a bunch of places are gerrymandered to help the incumbent party. Obviously, you can't gerrymander Alaska. If you can gerrymander Alaska, I would give you a round of applause because it's impossible. I would give you $500. But yeah, so what is the deal? Why am I bringing this up now when we're so far away from the presidential election and just the general election in general? Well, on today, as an example, I remember I was having my breakfast and then I got a notification on my phone about this news, about this headline. Supreme Court rules against giving state legislatures unchecked control over federal elections. The justices rejected the independent state legislature theory, which would have restricted the power of state courts to review certain election laws. This was because of North Carolina. This map. This map right here. Now, this is some. This is important because North Carolina is controlled by the Republicans, legislature-wise. There's a government triplex over there, and there's not Virginia. No, I do not want to go to Virginia. That's where all the virgins are. Sorry, I belong there. But yeah, this is the map that North Carolina passed. It's evened out. According to 538, this is evened out. But Republicans gerrymandered it into something else. Now let's put it into the previously enacted proposal. Um, as you can clearly see, there was a blatant gerrymandering. Charlotte is completely packed. There's a bunch of Greensboro is cracked, and North Carolina's second congressional district is oddly shaped. And it's let's look at the majority. Let's look at this. North Carolina's black population makes up a huge portion of it. I think it makes up 30% of the population. Therefore, let us do some math. 14 times 0.3, it is 4.2. Democrats should have 4.2. Okay, I only see 3. With the old map gave it a lot better chance. One, this first congressional district was okay. These two congressional districts were fairly popular. Greensboro was finally represented, and Raleigh, is that pronounced it? Please, someone in the comments tell me. Raleigh, North Carolina was equally represented. And then a bunch of more districts were supposed to, over time, get more blue. But the problem was that this was enacted in 2020. The census came around, and then the new maps had to be drawn. This is what Republicans came up with in the state house. They came up with two two leaning Republican districts, 3 solid congressional districts for the Democrats, and 1 competitive district. On a best case scenario, there'd be 6 seats for the Democrats, and they would have to get over 60% of the vote, which, according to my calculations, would be only 42% of the House seats. It is physically impossible for the Democrats to gain a majority, or even just a split majority, since it's 14. But thanks to the independent state legislature theory, I am having some trouble trying to find the map. You know what? We'll just go for this one. I think 538. You made a good amount. I will hands down say 538 did a good job with this. But this, it gives Democrats an ability to be able to gain more House seats. So this works. It gives them 50-50. And if you look at the House elections, let's just go to 2022 House of Representatives. And yes, my keyboard sounds like some weird Razer laptop. It actually is Razer, but right now it's not working. Let's just go to North Carolina. We'll go to North Carolina. So let's go to the 2020 election. Now, the 2020 House of Representatives election had this. Democrats won 50% they won a majority, and they won more votes than any before. And yet they didn't get a majority. Fast forward to now, with a better map, a better majority. Republicans should have gained the majority, but obviously due to some split counting, it's a 50-50 state. And this is going to be a 50-50 state for some time until one party can actually win over voters and successfully gain them. Now, Republicans tried to get rid of this map, and it was very likely that they would have. But on June 27th, 2023, the Supreme Court struck down the idea of an independent state legislature theory, which Republicans, I'm sorry, my phone is ringing right now, which Republicans say limits the authority of state courts to strike down certain election laws enacted by state legislatures. Now, if this map was to go into place, we'd be facing with a huge problem. This is the current makeup right now. This is what we're dealing with. Now, if we were to put it into a form like this, we would have this. Into boom, this is what it looks like. Only 2 states are purple. By purple, I mean split. That's what I mean. So yeah, this is what the current makeup looks like. Now you can clearly tell there are more. They look like there's more Republican states than there are Democratic seats. Even though, if you look at the top result, yes, Republicans gained. It's hard to gauge an actual number of seats. It's hard to because there's too many congressional elections that were with only one candidate involved. Take Wisconsin for example. This was in 94% of the vote. Yeah, this is going to be 56 like 72% of the vote. These districts do not do that in Utah. No, this Arizona's the right one. Lesko and Gosar were the only people there. Heightened up the vote in I'm just naming off random states because I know there was a lot of them. And I think there was some in. No, there was none. Yeah, Alabama's first, right there. Boom, that's an example. Even Alabama's sixth. Yet these are hyper intensified vote counts that do not represent the state. Now, say we have had, and these don't help as well. Like Democrats aren't helping as well. There was a bunch of seats in here. I'm sorry, I just got scared. I live in the suburbs in right now, and holy moly, that scared the living daylights out of me. But Montana second, I can go on and on for what this could be. But this eliminates the independent state legislature theory, meaning that North Carolina's congressional map can stay. But there's more. A few days ago, the Supreme Court announced that Alabama's congressional map had to be redrawn. This was the first and in front of a domino effect. This was the first one. Supreme Court rules in favor of Black Alabama voters in unexpected defense of Voting Rights Act. This was shocking. There was 2 pillars of the Voting Rights Act, meaning that one of the first ones that the Supreme Court struck down, which was partisan gerrymandering. One of them helped partisan gerrymandering that basically said, a bunch of these areas cannot gerrymander without the federal government's approval because of a history of racial gerrymandering. They struck that down. That basically gave the ability for states to do racial gerrymandering. But if a case came up, there would have to most likely be some consequences. But we can look back into history. Let's look back into North Carolina. I mean, let's go back to 2000 and look in 2010. There was a 7-6 majority. Then Republicans gained the majority, and look at this. This is a blatant gerrymandered map with Democrats receiving over half the vote, and yet only receiving, what is this, 4 out of 13 right there? 4 out of 13. 4 out of 13. 30% of the vote. 30% of the seats. Okay, we'll try again. We're still not happening. And then they had to redraw the congressional maps because it was racial gerrymandering. Okay, Democrats won 47% of the seats. Okay, 47 times that by 13. 6. They should have a minimum of 6. They didn't get that. Fast forward to 2018, still doesn't happen. And then we finally get a map that is it's almost a 50-50 vote share, and yet Republicans still maintained it. Now we have a map that can do that. And this is, I clicked the wrong buttons. But yeah, this is a major decision in voting rights, because just imagine a shift in Alabama right there. They lose a Republican and gain a Democrat. It's a 221-14. You need 218 to get a majority. But wait, there's more. Louisiana had the same case where they said, okay, the African American population is it can draw up. You can draw up 2 congressional districts. Okay, there are, I believe, there are 6 congressional districts. Therefore, they can make up a more diverse population. Okay, they won that case. Boop. We're at a 220 majority Republican to a 215. Now, it's not like this dramatic change, but imagine if Democrats were able to hold all of their seats and gain those 2 seats. They would be able to win more congressional districts. Now, South Carolina had a map going on, and they had to, in January they said, yeah, you have to redraw your districts, and they're currently in appeal. But imagine if Democrats were able to win another congressional district from South Carolina. We're at a 216. North Carolina stays the same. All the states stay the same. Tennessee has a racial gerrymandering up. Boom. Florida has a racial gerrymandering up. Democrats are only 1 seat away from the majority. But imagine if they were able to just get that district back. They were just able to get that district back, and they can lose all the other ones. All right, Democrats have the majority. It's the South that has the South is the key for Democrats winning the majority. Texas as well, actually. If you put up Texas, let's just put up Texas, for example. There was a lot of solid seats in there. A lot of single. There was some. Actually, oh yeah, there's more single digits. Yep, I was right. But just put that in perspective. Let's do some math. I know you came here for politics, not you came for your elections, but we're gonna do some math. Yes, everyone's worst nightmare. Okay, so there's 38 congressional districts. Multiply that by 0.3873. Democrats are supposed to. Actually, this is very, very congressional like, but what if you were able to put that in a different perspective? What if you were able to put that in a more 2020 scenario where Democrats, there was 44% of the vote, 0.4414 times that. At the time, it was 36 congressional districts. They would have 15. They had 2 less. So it is clear that there's gerrymandering everywhere. And yes, so let's put this in perspective. Okay, let's say Democrats gain a seat in Arizona. They lose everything here. They don't do anything. Okay, so let's say they were able to win the case and they're able to gain those 2 seats. Okay, let's say if they're able to win in Nebraska because there's that congressional district that keeps fighting on. Let's say they're able to win another district in Wisconsin because of the congressional map over there. Ohio's congressional map as well. Republicans lose another seat. I've already talked about the South. Florida already. Georgia we need to talk about. What if since it's a 50-50 state, they go halves. They go halvesies. Let's say Democrats are able to perform even better over there. Republicans are very much so likely to lose 3 congressional districts, and Democrats gain them. That's 229 congressional districts right there. Democrats have a very good shot at winning the majority in the House, winning the House of Representatives majority in 2024. But they need a lot of help because they need the power of the courts. Now, let's put that let's put those House districts in perspective. Let's just take a random. Let's take this House of Representatives elect right here. Let's add another color. Let's add yellow and of 0 electoral votes. This is say courts can rule on map. So far, what I can see is Texas, the entire congressional map will most likely have to be redrawn. Now, boom, you already have 37 congressional districts right there. Add Louisiana, boom, add Alabama, boom, add Georgia and South Carolina, add Tennessee as well, you have to redraw. Add Florida into the mix. There's always Florida right there. It's the South. Someone told me that one of my friends told me you use derogatory language a lot. That might be a bit more true than I would like to admit, but for this is not something you can be derogatory about. This is blatant gerrymandering here, racial gerrymandering, and I'm forgetting El Paso right there. But there's so many places where Democrats could win in the southern region. Okay, let's. Oh, we already showed that. We already showed that 229 seats is doable. Where are some other places where gerrymandering might be a thing? Okay, let's place Wisconsin in the mix because right now there's a new judge. That is very, very likely. Okay, let's put Illinois in there because Republicans are fighting a really good case over there and they actually might win over there. Let's put Ohio because they have to redraw their congressional maps no matter what. We'll put New York because Democrats are trying to fight for them. There's a lot of places where court cases are still going on. The House of Representatives redistricting has not stopped. There's 147 congressional districts already thinking about being redrawn. That we know that there's going to be cases of. We already saw Alabama, we've already seen Louisiana, and we've already saw North Carolina. North Carolina's out of the way. Alabama and Louisiana have to redraw their congressional maps. My next best bet will be that Texas, Georgia, and Florida will be, along with South Carolina, will be on the list. Illinois, Wisconsin, Ohio, and New York are going to be much, much harder, especially New York. New York's going to be way harder because of how it's already set up. The New York congressional map was overruled and that it had to be redrawn. So courts might rule, hey, we're going to stick with this map. Wisconsin might be very difficult because Democrats mainly live in the city while everywhere else is mainly sparsely rural. So that might be a problem, and that might be a situation of packing and cracking, and where the Supreme Court may rule demographics take over. We could see that Ohio turn red over there. We can see a bunch of other places turn red. But all in all, Democrats have a good shot. If they can win these court cases, they win the House. So we shall see in the near future whether or not the Supreme Court will pave the way for similar court cases to similar congressional maps to be redrawn. We just have to see. So thank you all so much for watching. Please like the video. Comment down what you liked or disliked. Please, if you please leave a comment if you had any comments as well. If you have any questions, hit that subscribe button. We are very close to breaking the 50 threshold. I would like to do that before the end of July. Thank you all so much for watching, and please come back, and I'll see you guys. See ya.